Hey guys, I am back for another vinyl video. I'm Joe, it's the Analog Archive. Second video of the day. I just filmed the video of the record store day pickups along with some more recent finds. And this is the second video, which is going to be that incredible Blue Note collection that I had shown in the video probably about a month ago at the beginning of May. For those that had not been aware, at the end of April, Bop Shop Records in Rochester, New York had gotten in this huge Blue Note collection. There was over 250 Blue Note records that spanned a lot of the 4000 series. There was a few 1500 series, quite a bit 4100, and then some 4200. And most of them were originals or maybe like soon after. So if a record came out in 1962, there might have been like a original, but there could have also been like a 64 or 66. There was quite a bit of Liberty pressings as well. I don't think there was many that were in the collection that were not, or I should say, there weren't many records in the collection that were after the Liberty era. So most of it was really, in terms of collecting Blue Note records, that is the kind of golden time, the original going to maybe 66, 67. So this is part two of the ones that I had shown back at the beginning of May. So if you haven't seen that video, go back to that one and check it out. Again, you can see the records that were available at the time. Since then, a bit have been quite a few of them have been bought, some of them from me, and then some from other people as well. But just a really great collection, so we'll get into that. The first one I picked up a few weeks ago, I Want to Hold Your Hand, Grant Green. Seen this one a bit here and there, never really picked it up. I don't think I honestly even knew that Hank Mobley was on this until I saw this a few weeks ago. That was one of the reasons why I bought it, was if it's got Hank Mobley on it, it's probably going to be pretty good. Larry Young was familiar with, don't have any of his records because he seems to go more in the avant-garde direction when it came to his Blue Note recordings. But Grant Green I really love. I know what I've seen people talk about is that as the years went on, especially when you got into the 70s, there's quite a few Grant Green records that weren't as good, but this is still, I think, in the time when he was real dialed in, really one of the best at his instrument. This is a more of a different kind of look and approach to a jazz record, kind of covering pop tunes. I Want to Hold Your Hand being the name, obviously coming from the Beatles song. And all of 6 of them were popular songs spanning back from the 40s all the way to the current day when this was recorded, which I believe this was recorded in 64 or 65, probably 65, 4202. But really, it's a different feel to it than other jazz records, different feel than other Grant Green records as well, but still an enjoyable one. It's not really terribly expensive either, so take advantage of that to get some great jazz music worth having as well. So next one, The Freedom Writer, Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. I mean, there's so much to dive into, to buy when it comes to the Jazz Messengers. And don't really have a whole lot. I have a few of the early ones I really enjoy, the ones that had like Kenny Dorham, Hank Mobley. I do love Lee Morgan. It's just a lot to kind of take in, a lot of them to get, and I don't have a lot, so I have to kind of work on that. This is a 66 pressing. The other one was a 66 as well. And I don't think this is an original. No, this is an original. It came out in 64, so this is a second press. Got a good, real energetic feel to it. I was talking to somebody about this on Instagram a few weeks ago, and we kind of both came to the same conclusion that this was cut really hot. It's very loud. If you're used to listening to mono jazz, especially on Blue Note, This was different. This is much louder than a lot of other ones. So really enjoyable though. I really like it. Freedom Writer, the second song on the B side is just like an 7 or 8 minute drum solo by Art Blakey. So a little different, but enjoyable as well. So great one to have. Happy to pick that up. The next one is an upgrade. This was another one that I had gotten early on in collecting jazz. Just got it real cheap. Wasn't in super great condition. A lot of crackle to it, but when I saw this pop up as part of the collection, knew this was kind of my chance to upgrade. So this is the Sermon, Jimmy Smith. My opinion, this is the best Jimmy Smith record. I really don't like the organ, to tell you the truth. I know a lot of people do. I don't like the organ. I think that it takes away from great jazz, and it makes it this very like kind of honky tonk. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but it's not really for me. That's no disrespect to anybody that enjoys it. I don't really enjoy it that much. I think it's too different than other jazz instruments. It's just not for me. But this one is great. It's got a huge lineup on it. Lee Morgan on trumpet, Lou Donaldson, George Coleman both on alto sax, Tina Brooks on tenor sax, Kenny Burrell, Eddie McFadden on guitar, Art Blakey, Donald Bailey on the drums. So it's got a large lineup, but each track only has, I think the opening track, the Sermon, which is the entire A side, has the largest lineup. There's 7 players on it. The rest of them have only like five people or less. But this is a great recording. Sounds incredible. Great mono copy. This is a second mono. The one that I had was, I think, like a third mono. The original was like 58. Or it might have been 59, 58 or 59, probably 59 actually. The original had no ink, so it was like just had Blue Note Records on the label. This one has the ink on it, and the one that I had before was, I think, like a 47 West 63rd, no ink, and it might not have been deep groove either. So, but a serious upgrade. This does not really have any surface noise, if any. So. Great to pick that up. Another great mono copy as well. Next few are ones that I've gotten more recently in the last probably 2 weeks. The Turnaround, Hank Mobley. This sat for weeks there, and I don't know what the deal was. This is an original, and I don't really know. Original mono, sounds great. The quieter tracks, so there's 2 ballads on it. There's a little bit of crackle here and there, but nothing that is beyond what you kind of sometimes hear on the album. So enjoyable one. Just recently listened to this the last few days. Really have enjoyed the alternate lineup as well. Freddie Hubbard's on trumpet on 4 of the 6, and then Donald Byrd plays the other 2. Got Barry Harris on the piano on a few tracks, Herbie Hancock on the others, Butch Warren on bass versus Paul Chambers, Philly Higgins versus Philly Joe on the drums. People have said this is kind of just another remake of Sidewinder. The Turnaround, the opening track, and also the title track does have that kind of boogaloo kind of feel to it, more free-flowing, more kind of dance-worthy type jazz, but the rest of it is pretty straight ahead hard bop. Haven't really heard a lot of people talk about this point, but the fact that the 2 tracks that feature Donald Byrd on it, which is the second and third track on the A side, were actually recorded at the time of No Room for Squares, which preceded this one. So No Room for Squares is one of my favorite Hank Mobley sessions. And the 2 tracks that are on here are pretty good. I don't think they're the same degree as No Room for Squares. I'm not exactly sure what the deal was with that, but Haven't really ever heard anybody bring that up, that the fact that 2 of the tracks actually came from a previous recording session, and I think there was just too many tracks, so they couldn't release it. But again, this is a nice original mono, New York, USA labels on it. A great one to have as well. The next one, I'm going to say, if Chris, Tunes from the Man Cave, if you were watching, you're going to enjoy this next part in a second. So this is Search for the New Land, Lee Morgan. I just picked this up yesterday, 2 days ago, or it should have been actually at the time of this video, it was a few days ago. Have a late 70s White Bee copy that I picked up very early on when I was collecting jazz. I've always really been looking out for an original. This isn't an original, but this is a Liberty Mono. And the one thing that is interesting about it is that it is full shrink wrap. So just like Chris, you don't like shrink wrap, I don't either. So here comes the shrink wrap off. And in the words of him, now it looks like a jazz record. Okay. Really happy to finally have this. Search for the New Land is such an iconic track, and the rest of the album is great as well. So happy to finally own an original of this. Haven't had a chance to spin this one yet. I think this is the only one in the stack that I haven't had a chance because I just got it, but looking forward to grabbing or to having a listen to that. And the last 2 are some really big ones. Really excited to have finally found, especially the last one, which will be some deja vu to the previous video if you've watched that. But this first one, really glad to have this Up and Down, Horace Parlan. This has an excellent recording, excellent sound to it. Booker Irving, a rare Blue Note. Actually, I think it's the only. No, I should say that's not true. Because my last video, this is I believe the first record that Booker Irving is on Blue Note. And again, he had some records on Prestige, and then he kind of didn't have much of anything. The Prestige stuff was around the same time that this was recorded, and then he had a few albums in the late 60s of his own as a leader, but really excellent contribution by him on tenor sax. Different than a lot of other players at the time. Hank Mobley, Stanley Turrentine, Tina Brooks, I mean, you name it, other sax players. Different feel to it, more bluesy, very kind of, I think he was from Texas, so maybe his influence was a little bit different than some other players, but really great by him. Grant Green, I love that he's on this album as well. His sideman work is incredible. Some of his best work is as a sideman. This one is an original mono as well. I'll show this one. This is the New York, USA labels on it. Really glad to have been able to pick this up. It sounds great. One of my new favorite Blue Note records. Again, it's different than other records, but it moves very fast moving, very energetic, and one that I have really more recently enjoyed quite thoroughly. So Horace Parlan stuff can be hard to find, can be expensive as well, but worth it if you do find it. So Up and Down. And the last one is my favorite, probably from the second set of records that I found from that collection. If you watched my last video, this will look familiar. Workout, Hank Mobley. Except the difference is that this is it's not an original, but it is a second mono. Clean, really clean. One of the cleanest ones from this collection. Hank Mobley tenor sax, Grant Green guitar, especially the 2 of them. On the A side, Workout and are both great tracks. Really happy to have found an original of this. I actually found this shortly after that 70s copy that I had gotten on Discogs, but I just knew that this was probably one of my only opportunities to find this. not one that comes up for sale a lot. This was in what I consider to be the golden age of Hank Mobley, the early 60s stuff, the Soul Station, Roll Call, Workout. There's another one that's called Another Workout as well. And even when you got into the mid 60s with like No Rooms for Squares, that's another incredible one. Dippin' is another one. The Turnaround is good. I don't really think the Turnaround is as good as other ones, but this is a great one. This is one of my favorites, probably top 3 Hank Mobley records, and just really enjoyable there. All right, well, that is it for that second drop, or second pickups from that collection. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please tell me what you liked in the comments section. And if you did, please think about liking, subscribing, and I will see you in the next final video. Bye.